Welcome, brothers and sisters. Be assured that we cherish each and every one of you, dear brothers and sisters. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
The subject is the abuse of children and the damaging effects this can have on such innocent victims. As an organization, we view all such abuse of children, whether physical, sexual, or emotional, as deplorable. As you likely know, Jehovah's Witnesses take a stronger position than most on the scriptural inappropriateness of any form of immorality. However, to take advantage of innocent young ones is absolutely despicable.
I remember being lifted up out of my bed.
I said to my dad, I think something happened to me.
We didn't know how many other victims there were, and still don't.
Former Jehovah's Witnesses tell their chilling stories of alleged abuse for the first time. One of them is Sarah Brooks.
Sarah Brooks grew up a Jehovah's Witness in Pennsylvania, and she has an abuse story that has layers of cover-up. There was an elder who says that he was present when the elders worked to cover up her abuse.
Hello. Trey Bundy. Nice to meet you. I'm Martin. Likewise. My name is Martin Hawk. I live in New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 38 years. When I became an elder, the first elders meeting, they brought us up to speed, and Sarah's case was brought up. They never mentioned the person's name who abused her. All I know, there was some kind of sexual encounter that happened in her past.
Sarah claims that she was abused by a man and woman who were close to her family and that she reported it to the elders of her congregation. Martin goes on to tell Trey what he alleges that he witnessed happened to the documentation of Sarah's abuse claim.
A committee was formed by 3 local elders to investigate Sarah's case. They've been meeting with Sarah for several weeks, and she had been retelling the story over and over again, and they were taking detailed notes of how many times this abuse happened, how severe the abuse was. Shortly after that, she went to the police. The police got a warrant to come into the Kingdom Hall, look for records. The top elder said, we bought a shredder, and the headquarters has told us to shred our personal notes you have made for the case.
Be assured that we cherish each and every one of you, dear brothers and sisters.
We're now joined by Sarah Brooks herself and Trey Bundy, who investigated this piece. Nice to meet you both. Sarah, what was it like even watching that little piece back right there?
I mean, it's definitely a trigger. I mean, it's difficult to watch. It was difficult to go through then. It's still just as difficult to go through now, but there's a weight that's been lifted off my shoulders in telling it and having people listen and to believe my story and to help me fight this fight like Trey.
Trey, when you started investigating this, at what point did you realize how big this actually was?
We figured out pretty early in the reporting that not only were the Jehovah's Witnesses covering up a lot of child abuse, but they were actually holding on to a database of names of child abusers all over the country. And that this database had been secret from the courts, secret from law enforcement, and that these perpetrators were out there, and that's when we knew.
So what's going on with the database now?
It's the subject of a fight in civil court in California, and it's about to be the subject of a fight in civil court in other states where survivors like Sarah are coming forward and filing lawsuits against the Watchtower. The Watchtower wants to keep this secret. They don't want anybody to see what's in there. As far as we know, law enforcement hasn't gone after it, and the courts haven't had any luck getting it, but there's at least 20 years worth of names in that database.
And as you investigated with the Jehovah's Witnesses and tried to go to them and get answers, how were you treated? What did you get?
Well, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, which is the headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses in New York, they've refused every interview request. They've refused to give meaningful comment on any of our stories. This goes back 5 years, so they're essentially hoping the story goes away. I have had some experiences talking to individual Jehovah's Witnesses and congregations, and when you meet them, most Jehovah's Witnesses are shocked to hear that this is how child abuse is handled in their religion.
What do you think about that, Sarah, when you heard that? There has to be others like you growing up within this, when you hear that most members are sort of shocked to hear these allegations or how they're handled.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, when I first was abused and shortly after, I thought I was the only one. There was no one that could ever have gone through what I went through. And it wasn't until I started telling my story more and realizing this is much bigger than I ever could have imagined, and I am by far not alone. And so this needs to be talked about and discussed. And and really brought out even more than what it has been, because I'm not alone. And so now we need to gather together and fight this together.
What do you want to happen, Sarah?
I want change. I want change within the Jehovah's Witness congregations. I want them all to be handled differently. The rules that are set in place for how sex abuse is handled within the congregations is wrong, downright wrong, and it needs to be changed, and they need to be stopped. Otherwise, they'll just continue to go on the way that they have.
Thank you for your bravery. For
Thank
coming out.
you.
Nice to meet you both. Trey, great work. We reached out to the Jehovah's Witnesses of America. They did not respond to the allegations contained in the Oxygen series. They tell us they condemn child abuse and claim they have processes in place to ensure compliance with child abuse reporting laws.
Be assured that we cherish each and every one of you, dear brothers and sisters.